Yeah, man. Famous cartoonist Art Balthazar, as you see. Abraham Lincoln is with me, and we are watching, and you are watching. Famous cartoonists draw at night. They draw at night, by night. We're all here together, man. Buy their comics, buy my comics, shop.
Welcome to Cartoonist by Night. I am your host, Anthony Laatsch. I am joined here by Matt Rodgers, D. Brad Gibson, Matt Fife, and Toonz by Troy. And we are here to talk about something very, very interesting, something brand new, something that's in the background, that's over on both sides of me. I have to explain that in the year of 2024, I have not posted too much art. And there's a reason, because I was working behind the scenes to make my very own comic book. Rice Christopher, this is the first time I am unveiling this. It's a little awkward as I'm just used to talking about this behind the scenes, but this is official. This is going out there. I can officially now say that I am a comic book creator with my self-published Rice Christopher. Hold for applause. All right, so that is the setup for the show. Is we're going to be talking about that. But before we get to a segment where I talk for about 45 minutes, let's check in with everybody and someone specifically first, because we have not seen this face in quite some time. But welcome back, Matt Fife. How's it going, buddy?
Oh,
Hi.
Yeah, Bertram.
Good to see you guys.
Bertram.
You too, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, every time we had a new guest on, they didn't know it, but they were auditioning to replace you. And, we had Balthazar, like we had Jamie Cosley, we had all these people, and we're like, what? They just did not play Matt Fife well enough. And we figured we had to keep the real thing.
Well, I don't know what to say to that, but I always assumed D. Brad was my replacement. That's just how I put it in my head. And I was okay.
No.
But I'm back.
I could never replace Bertram.
That's right, Bertram. I forgot about that.
D. Matt Gibson. Matt Rodgers, how's it going tonight?
Well, I like answering with well instead of good.
Oh, it's going well. There was a story to that.
Using proper grammar.
Yeah, because I'm not doing good. I'm doing well. I'm not a superhero.
I often say well too, and then every time I say it to somebody, like in a work scenario, and they ask how I'm doing, I say I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing well." I always feel like such a jerk just being so proper saying that. But Toonz by Troy, how's it going this evening?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm going to use that bad grammar. The bad grammar is where it's at. Let me tell you.
Bad grammar
makes the world more interesting. No, I'm good, guys. I'm well.
You're well.
It's good to see all of you.
And normally when we see D. Brad Gibson, we're looking at the awesome bookcase with all the different collections, maybe some art propped up, and if there's any cartoon character that's ever been existed that is merely mentioned on the show, D. Brad can just reach back and grab that book of the original comic strips right there, and probably a headshot and autograph from the creator. But where are you this evening? Or it looks like it's morning for you over in Canada.
Oh no, it's afternoon.
So,
and I don't know.
There we go.
You see, I'm on the ocean. And I'm just camping on Quadra Island, across from Vancouver Island. It's fun.
And
great
I know
it's great that I don't have to travel far.
I know that you probably signed a bunch of NDAs, but I'll try anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But, can you confirm or deny if you're on set for the next King Kong movie at all? King Kong Godzilla?
I wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's a
wish.
yes, everybody.
Yep. I will be the man in suit.
There we go. We checked in with everybody. So this is going to be kind of a relaxed conversation, hangout. I'm going to talk about the creation of this character as I unveil it here. We have some people that might be drawing. We won't have D. Brad drawing. I may or may not draw because I got a lot of show and tell. Troy, do you have any idea if you're going to be working on something there?
I'm gonna draw Rice Christopher.
Oh, well, geez,
Very
look at
good.
that.
Ooh. Teacher's
And I see Matt Fife is painting. Are you going to be painting Rice Christopher? Yes or no?
I will not be painting Rice Christopher. I'm not good at themes. I'm terrible at themes. I'm sorry, sir.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm doing a painting for our buddy Brian Lynch. Can we add a G in there? A painting for Brian Lynch.
Painting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do me a painting for Brian Lynch.
I'm from Ohio.
Brian Lynch, creator of Harold and his Hot Wing of Justice, who we talk about a lot, past guests on the
Yep.
show. So, all right, cool. And Matt Rodgers, now we don't see you in your normal picture-in-picture screen. I assume you're working on something that cannot be seen?
Yeah, I'm doing a badge, and then after that, I'm going to be working on a cover.
Cool, cool. All right.
Not for Rice Christopher.
Oh, good, because I didn't commission one. So,
Been there, done that. You know what I mean?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to the part where you help this character make it to print and then end all possibilities of it ever going elsewhere to print. But I had to correct that situation. So yeah, here we go. That is kind of the setup for the show. What I'm going to talk about here is the creation of this character, which started back in March 25th of 2023. So a couple years prior to that, I had an idea folder that I keep in my phone. I used to make short films and web series and stuff back in the day, and I'd always kind of keep a running list of just funny names I come up with, sometimes lines and just like story ideas and things that I would eventually try to like get some artists to make some comics and do things like that. I wasn't really at a stage in my artistic ability and didn't really have any desire to make my own comic. And one of the names that was in that file was simply Rice Christopher. And this is the first ever sketch I did before I have the finished version too. But going back to March 25th of 2023, to put a little context to what's happening in the world, was that we were behind the scenes setting up Cartoonist by Night. And as I was kind of amping up my art game and had come out with my Gucci Nana print and getting ready for the free comic book day at Oh Yeah Comics in beautiful downtown Skokie, and I started to also prep some other prints to make for my first convention alongside my creative partner David Gloyd over at Crimson Cowl Media. And doing all that stuff and getting excited and kind of help launch this drawing show, I was still drawing in the background, and all of a sudden I saw that Rice Christopher name, and I'm like, oh, I should do something with this. I don't know what he's going to look like, and I just drew this, and I didn't really know where it was going. And then the next image I'm going to show here is going to be the finished version of the first drawing of Rice Christopher. Basically, Rice Christopher became this, like a giant crispy rice man in a suit. And I forget do you guys remember if I showed? I wouldn't have shown D. Brad just because the connection to Canada would have taken too long to send the file over. But do you other guys have any memory? Have any other memory of seeing this at all? If I would have posted this to you guys at least.
It looks familiar.
I've seen that.
That was what I went with when I put him in Happy.
So I did this, and rather usually when I draw something, I draw it and then I just immediately post it or post it the next day. But this was something where I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, and I like crispy rice treats, and it's kind of a interesting looking character. And I had my friend show this to her son, who was maybe 4 at the time. And I said, don't say anything about this. Don't say that I made this, and just show him this image, and I want to see what the reaction was. And this 4-year-old's reaction was simply, "That's weird." And I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that because it is it is kind of weird. But yeah, I purposely didn't post it at all just for
That should be you should have that quote.
Yeah, that is the plan. That is the plan, to have that little blurb and just put like my friend's 4-year-old. And that's weird. And but I never posted it because there was some potential where I'm like, oh, maybe I could do something with this. And I'm gonna cycle through some of the other images, which I don't think I ever posted to you guys at all, but I did another drawing, and here was the second one, just to kind of play around with some poses. He kind of looks like he's just like a floating crispy ghost or something. I don't know why I didn't do legs on there, but uh, it was simply just like, all right, let's play around and see if like how to shape this guy. And you can see I went pretty simple with the glasses and everything, and even the hands are less blocky than what they would eventually become. But then I had another one to test some more poses just to see. And actually, at this stage, I started testing my crispy rice design, and you can just see how this is very rough draft. Just kind of drawing it as quick as I can without really going into any extreme detail. But then I would eventually get to what we see in this comic book. But before he gets to be a comic book character in my own comic book, the Cartoonist by Night show started, and things got busy and doing Crimson stuff and getting interviews and guests on and drawing a lot more than I'd ever drawn before. And it got to the point where I'm like, even if I wanted to do this, I'm like, I would have no time to actually do it, which ended up, I think, would be a good thing because I learned so much in the years since, just hanging out with you guys and just drawing more and more and just really kind of just learning and learning and learning. So basically, what I did here in this comic book, which we'll get into, uh, could not have been done last year. And so I think the Cartoonist by Night show kind of helped me not rush into something that I probably would have given up on and just done a page or so and just be like, all right, this sucks, I'm bored or something. And so it felt kind of good that I spent like that I never posted anything about it. And then eventually, like a year later, I came across it and I'm just like, yeah, I think I might be able to do something. So in order to allow myself to take a breath and take a drink, we're going to jump in over at Troy there, and we see looks like maybe like a spoon and a cereal bowl. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
It's Rice Christopher, and I probably won't letter it, but my idea is like at the top, like it would say like try Rice Christopher, and then he's saying I'm delicious.
Now that's a good little segue to an idea. So on the back cover of my book, I'm going to switch over to uh, my drawing screen to kind of take a good look at this. I wanted the back cover to be a fake advertisement, and doing a serial one was part of sort of an idea. I actually did do it as I zoom in closer here later. But flipping through old comic books and looking at what I could kind of do parodies of and lean into, and I came across a lot of the Tiger video game ads, and specifically a Power Rangers one. And I completely forgot about Tiger handheld video games. I had so many of them, but until I saw that ad, it just unlocked a memory, being like, "Oh man, I forgot all about those." And I decided I'm just going to create Rice Christopher the game. And so the back cover, and I figured rather than putting like a synopsis on it, I figured it would just be better just to use that space for a fake ad, because simply the synopsis for this comic book is that he's a crispy rice man that goes on adventures. And that's basically all you really need to know. So I figured I would just use the real estate on the back to create a fake cover. And as I was designing it in Procreate, which is where I drew this whole comic here, by hand and Procreate, no AI and no Al either, except for me. Oh, I think D. Brad fell asleep. If we see his, oh, okay, his screen was freezing up, and it just looked like he fell asleep during my stories.
Oh, did it?
I'm sure future Anthony's going to focus in on your image during
Or I
that.
had a heart attack.
Yeah, yeah. Don't take the spotlight away from my book here, D Brad. Jeez.
Sorry, I won't die live.
Wait till after the recording if you're going to have a tragic death, please. Thank you.
If I do die,
Selfish,
edit
selfish
it out.
man.
Yeah, edit it out and put it at the end credits.
In every issue I sign, I'll just put dedicated to D Brad Gibson. So.
Yes.
Well, things got very dark, and considering there's a month until this book is out, so we'll see what happens here. So when I was designing this, I wanted to do a test on the font and the colors and everything. So I knew I wanted a bunch of like exciting text around the image. So I literally just wrote exciting text. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I like the text and the font and everything. And then I realized, oh, I should just keep that because that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I ended up doing, whoa, exciting text, takes only 14 AA batteries, over 99 billion served, do not eat. And then just in case there's any kids that come up to the convention table and think this is an actual video game or a comic based off of a video game or something, I just put not real. This is not real.
Not real.
Yeah. And then going back to the cereal thing, I did a little throwback. Rather than a Tiger video game, I went back to the original Game Boy when it had that like lime green screen that back then it just looked amazing. But when you look at it now, just being like, how did we play that on that color screen the whole time? But yeah, there's a little crispy rice cereal game going on there and everything. But yeah, that is the back cover advertisement. All right, so before this would actually get to be this comic book, Matt Rodgers mentioned it earlier, but when he was working on Happy Astronaut #2, along with Matt Fife there, and putting together this issue of their series, I think Rodgers, you just throw it out, just like maybe showed us some of the cameos you were doing, and then I forget if you asked for other things or if I just simply said, hey, if you need something. Do you remember how that went at all?
I always ask for permission for that kind of stuff, so I'm assuming that I sent you a message saying, "Hey man, can I put Rex Christopher in here?"
Yeah, I was trying to remember how that went down or not, and I'm sure it's probably in our thread somewhere. But so when you go through Happy Astronaut #2, you'll see this very awesome cameo from, oh wait, not this guy, not that guy. Who's oh yeah, this guy here. So Rice Christopher actually made a comic book debut back in I think this is what, October, November, earlier, September.
I think it's October, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been October.
October of 2023. And Rice Christopher showed up, and I never saw what you did until I got the book and opened it up, and it was kind of cool to have this character here, the Cheese Slinger. Maybe we'll see more of this character around the world.
Awesome.
I'm just looking at Troy's. This is the first time, other than Rodgers and other than Brian Lynch, actually drew Rice Christopher for something too. So I'm just kind of distracted here as I watch Troy work his magic over there.
Did
Awesome.
anybody else kill Rice Christopher?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because Rice Christopher gets announced, and then spoilers basically gets popped, and right there in the next panel. And it was a short-lived run, but I think it was good. It lasted. Because at this point, it was just like, yeah, I'm never doing anything with that kind of thing. That was cool just to see it. And then we would fast forward to 2024. And then I think, I just kind of upped my game with my drawing and really getting the hang of Procreate. And it just got to the point where I decided, I think I could take this character and then I would just write off the Happy Astronaut #2 version as just a alternate universe. The multiverse is very popular right now.
That's right.
So that version of Rice Christopher over there. But I do have I did want to do like a short story of Rice Christopher goes to space or something, and just kind of like an unofficial prelude to how he got to issue #2. of Happy.
Funny because like that second issue of Happy Astronaut, it's probably the most important single issue that Keenspot has ever put out.
Probably.
The most
You got
important.
first appearances galore. I mean,
Oh
Slaughter
yes,
shows up in there.
Rice Christopher.
Rice Christopher's in there. We gotta get
Cheese Slinger.
Cheese Slingers in there. If we ever make a Hammer Hands comic book, he's in there.
we got the
Ants
first ever pinup here that made me buy 4,000 copies or whatever I bought. Yeah, so yeah, Happy Astronaut #2 is quite the collector's item, and so if you have that in your collection, everybody, make sure to bag and board that and keep it safe. So, what encouraged me to actually make the comic book that's right here on the table is that I realized that if I would have written a script out for this and done, 16 to 20 pages and just kind of mapped it all out and did it, how people make comic books, I was starting to fear that I would just get to the point where since I'm doing this for fun and there's no, deadlines, there's nobody expecting anything from me, I was starting to feel that I would maybe like get read page 17 being like, oh, I have to draw this now, and past Anthony wrote that, now future Anthony's got to draw it, blah blah blah. And so I went in and I took a little page out of Ryan Brown, writer and artist Ryan Brown. God Hates Astronauts, Curse Words, Blast Furnace, recently of 8 Billion Genies, Barfly over at the Minor Threats universe. And for his Blast Furnace graphic novel, it was an improvised comic book. It's like 270 pages that I think it started at, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it started at one of those kind of like 24-hour comic challenge where just people just meet up like in a store and they're like, all right, we're all sitting here for like a marathon and we all just create a comic in 24 hours or something and just draw as much as you can and do whatever and go in with no planning. And so Blast Furnace is a completely improvised comic book, and eventually he would just spend an X amount of hours a day without thinking ahead on anything, and then just next day just pick up and do the next thing or next panel or the next page, and essentially created 270 plus pages of an improvised comic. Now, Ryan Brown is a tremendous and professional and amazing artist, and I'm not going to use that as like, hey, he did that, I can do it too. Well, no, I just took the method of just being like, you know what? I like that idea of just starting on panel one, not knowing what I'm going to do, and then just jumping right in. And I shared to show you how loose my pencils get. I do have the pencils for page #1 here. This is when I was going to have like a little title in the corner, like it's a comic strip with the logo in the corner. Eventually, I would kind of change that around. But this is as detailed as I would get for page 1, which I'll show the page 1 reveal in just a second. And as I was doing this, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to just draw these kids on a couch and all right, they're going to be ready for story time. And I don't even know what these people are going to say yet, but I just kind of mapped it out. And I like the idea that I had no idea what was going to happen on page 2. I was just going to concentrate on this one and just kind of let the story take me to places. And if I figured if I got to a point that was if I got sick of drawing a certain scenario or certain characters, I could just like open up a portal and have them jump into it and then just draw a completely different scenario. So that's what I was kind of leading into when coming up with an improv style. So that was yes.
Can I interrupt sometime?
Please.
Interrupt. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
This is about the first page.
Yes.
Is the first thing I noticed when I read the first page, is I liked how you divided up. Can you show that first page again?
So yeah, here's the finished first page after.
Yeah, I love how you had set up on the far right panel, how they're talking, and you bring the word balloon down like that.
Yeah.
I like that transition.
It was a
good transition.
There's one page that I won't show in here that you guys have all read it, but there's 2 of the main characters, and it's just a whole pool of dialogue in between them, and it's just the word balloon lines going behind and over and up, all over the place just to fit in all this dialogue and get all this get all these all the plot I need to do to kind of get the issue rolling. But yeah, I appreciate that because I was just making it up and I'm like, all right, that might be cool. And
Yeah, that worked really well.
I figured, yeah, like if it didn't work, I'm like, well, nobody's gonna tell me it didn't work, and I'm just gonna print it anyways. Like that's what kind of felt good. Is just being like, this is what I did, so I'm just gonna go with it. Um, so yeah, looking at that page there now, this specific line here, this one is a real treat. Now, Rice Christopher said this line because I did something after I did a couple of those digital drawings. I tried being like, all right, let's try to draw him physically, and I just tried to do it as quick as I could. And this is still early days. This is still 2023 according to this here. And I figured, all right, it's going to be Rice Christopher with a grandchild, a grand crispy, if you will, and I had dialogue in my head that it was going to be the kid just saying like, "Hey, tell me a story," and it'd be like, "All right, this one's a real treat." And so I just drew this. This is the first just original sketch of rice on paper, not rice paper, but rice
Oh,
on paper. Um, but I did a digital take on that, so I used that as a guide to do a kind of a quick version digitally, and that's where I put in the Grandpa, can you tell me about your life? Of course, it's quite the treat. And when I did that, that kind of set the stage for what I would do in the comic, where I'm like, all right, each story is just going to be like a mini separate story. I can just do it at any given time or place and just do a random adventure. I won't have to worry about sequential storytelling from, if I did more of these things, and I'd just be like, all right, I'll just do whatever I want. And then it would just be a bedtime story, almost like an anthology style in a way. And I figured it would all just be uh, because of the bedtime story element from the kids. And I figured that was my way in to be like, all right, kids want to hear a story, sit down, draw a story, put them to bed. Next time they want a story, I just do something completely different. So doing that test drawing there is what led to me actually taking that concept and using it in this moment here. Um, I'll take it off camera here in case there's anything else I wanted to show. As it's a 16-page story. I have some fake ads in here. I have some activity pages. I've got some original comic strips that I did with the character. So there's certain things in here that I won't show immediately because the whole purpose is to hopefully get people to check this out. But I want to take a look at what Troy's doing there.
yeah.
Just coloring in the blacks for his suit.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I let my son read it when you sent it over too.
Yes.
Of course, I'm trying to raise my children the right way, which means with Mad magazines all over the place.
Ooh,
And he his favorite part of it was the parody ads. So,
yes.
which
Oh,
is
yeah.
not
Oh,
to take anything away from the story. The story was fun too, but the parody ads were his favorite part. And he said to tell you, I might have already told you, but he said to tell you that if you made an entire book full of parody ads, he would be happy with that.
Nice.
I'll take that as a compliment because that was a lot of fun. It got to the point where I just try to cram as many jokes in there as possible, and some of the ads are just puns, and some of them are just extreme weirdness. And your son read the book, and then I don't think without your knowledge, he did a voice recording review that you eventually shared with me, and it was him like just kind of like narrating some of the comic book, but then like it got into that you could really tell that he loved those fake ads. But it's definitely something I want. Like I was gonna do a second page of fake ads until I came up with like another idea for an activity page. But you can let your son know that in future installments there will be more fake ads. So
He will
Okay.
be he will be pleased.
yeah, that was a ton of fun. I won't show those off because I don't want to give away all the jokes. So
So, Anthony, how
yes.
many How many hours would you say it took you to finish it?
Great question. So when I started it, I would spend maybe about 2 to 3 hours a couple times a week where I'd just kind of chip away at it. And essentially within the first half of the book, I was doing maybe about a page a week. And that was while, having a full-time job, drawing
Yeah.
other things, setting up at conventions. I was almost at a convention every single month selling art and promoting Cartoonist by Night, promoting Crimson Cowl Comic Club, hosting those shows, doing all that stuff. So I'd do maybe about a page a week. And in the last like 5 pages of the story, there's got to be a point where I'm like, all right, this is all still improvised, but I do want it to be a satisfying story. I didn't want it to just be so random that people are like, okay, like what was the point of that? So while I didn't necessarily write, there's no script for this comic book at all, but it got to a certain point where I was just like mentally just started thinking like, all right, okay, I know what the last panel will look like, so I just have to make up everything to get to that. And I think it's very satisfying as its own complete story. It's still very random as all heck, but I think it still had kind of a full circle fun to it. And
Have you
so,
started on your?
say that again.
Go ahead.
So during those last couple pages, I started doing a page a day. So my rate, like, it got to the point where I was drawing faster. I knew how the characters looked, and and then I wanted to work on it more. So I started a page a week, and then I had finished with 1 page a day, and I just kind of did that for like the last like 4 or 5 pages or so, and just got to the point where I got to a certain point of the story that I knew I wasn't giving up, where every single thing I did in here was fun. There wasn't any moment of hesitation where I put it down for weeks and just gave up or anything. I was just so excited to keep working on it. So all I can say is that it was a fun experiment and challenge 100% of the way. So
Yeah, to me, it felt like you did it in like a month. But I guess it was longer than that.
yeah, it ended up being, roughly like 5 months, I think, just
Right.
across time. But some of that stuff too was I didn't do too much retooling. Like when I would get kind of like halfway through the book, the only thing I retooled was my lettering. I got to a certain point where um, I I I didn't really I've never studied or looked into Procreate at all, and there was a certain point where I realized you can choose the font size number for your text. Normally I would just do stretch and just kind of match it up and eyeball it, never knowing that, double tapping and going into the settings and realizing, oh, I can actually just choose the font size. Like I should have known that, but I just never, it was never available right there on the page. So there got to a certain point where I'm like, oh, I should do better with the lettering. So I'd go through and I relettered a decent amount of it, but drawing wise, yeah, I don't think I redrew anything in the book and really tweaked anything. So while I got faster towards the end, nothing really changed, style wise or anything like that. So
Yeah, it was fun when you would share like little uh pages, not full pages, but like
just
it's
little
almost like a
snippets.
puzzle snippets. Yeah,
Yeah, like
snapshots.
little works in progress.
Yeah, I like seeing those.
I
Yeah,
do too, and I'm sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
I was just going to set up to the next thing, so go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the great joys of being in this group is the private chat that we get to see those little snippets of
Yeah,
things that folks are working on.
yeah,
So with Bryce Christopher and Slaughter Otter,
yeah. Those are
other
fun to see.
other things, yeah, that
Seeing them, and then when you
really,
get to read it, you see, oh, that's where that fits in.
yeah,
And I always feel the way, and it's not an episode unless we say Art Baltazar's name, but when Art would share, doing his drawing streams, and there'll be certain
Yeah,
things you do when you see that stuff, and then,
yeah,
half a year later or something, or a year later,
yeah.
if it's one of the
Hmm.
graphic novels or something, then you're just like,
Hmm.
oh, hey, I remember him, drawing that.
Yeah, I remember that page. Yeah, I remember him doing that page.
So yeah, I got to take a swig here because I've been talking a lot. Anything else that pops up that you guys can think of?
Have you started your second issue?
Great question. That is the one thing that I know that creators, or let's say like whether they're a comic book creator, whether they're a a movie creator, a filmmaker, a lot of times when you spend, 2 to 3 years making something, a graphic novel, a movie, a series, and you put it out and you're on the promotion circuit and everyone consumes it within a 5 to 10 minute read, a half-hour read, or a 2 hour movie, they always get asked like, all right, what's next? What are you doing? Just be like, can you just give me a break? Like I just did this for like a lot of creators I see have that response of just like, oh, I just want to take a breather. So to answer Matt Fife's question, I have definitely have plans to do more. They're not going to be an issue 1 or a 2 or a 3. They're all going to be self-contained specials, basically. This one here is called the Wednesday Afternoon Special for no reason whatsoever.
Okay.
Other than
Yep.
just new comic books come out on Wednesdays. But the next one's not going to be Wednesday related, so it's not going to be Thursday related either. So,
Is it Wednesday because that's New Comic Book Day?
yep. So that was the immediate thing. Originally, I was thinking
Mhm.
about Saturday morning just for cartoons,
Yeah, yeah.
but the Wednesday afternoon special has nothing to do with what's inside the book. It's just a random title that I'm like, you know what? It was my first draft title, and it ended up
Mm.
being the final draft title. So when I do more issues, which I do plan to do, whether people buy it and it's successful or not, I'm still going to make more. It's just going to determine, quantities on what I order, or if they turn into web comics and low print runs later, or zine size, whatever. Um, but none of them are going to have number ones or number twos. They're all just going to be standalone. So if it gets to a point where, hey, let's say I do really well with this and it doesn't really pay to do another batch of these at a certain price, people coming up for issue number 2 aren't going to know that it's a number 2 in a story or anything, and they won't.
Mhm.
So, there'll be eventually, I'll probably offer this as PDFs online and things like that. But as of this moment, it's only expected to be a physical comic book. So yeah, there will be more, but I kind of want to keep that same method of an improv style where I sort of have ideas of like cool like panel shots and stuff, but I'm gonna try to just do another improv take on it and see how that works. It wasn't until recently when I got all these copies in the mail when I'm like, well, I really enjoyed it. Now I realize, okay, now I have to convince strangers to like it too. Uh, when I did short films and web series and stuff, I 100% only did it for my enjoyment. I really didn't care how anyone, like a lot of the people that liked it are just my friends and family that were in it and stuff. So
Right.
it was, they were public online, people could watch them, but it wasn't made to please anybody else other than me and my friends and have fun with it. And while I can say that is true for this, I also never took my other stuff and had to sell it at tables and convince people that it's going to be worth your dollars for it. So that is a new experience to be like, oh wait, now we'll see if my weirdness matches up with other people's weirdness. But I'm sure everybody goes through that. I mean, I've read this other book here called Happy Astronaut, and there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this book. So
Yeah,
Is there?
can can you
it's
guys
my kid's favorite comic.
to allow me to take a breath again? It's a great question. We'll start with Matt Fife, but when you're writing the stuff that you write for both for Slaughter Otter and Happy Astronaut, like you definitely seem like you're having a lot of fun. We're seeing the awesome art come through and it seems like a blast, but how do you approach it when it comes to thinking, do you think about the audience reading it as an experience, or are you focusing on you guys having a great time first? Can you speak on that?
I try and make myself laugh. And either I have a really bad sense of humor or I find funny stuff funny. Um, because I laugh a lot when I'm writing, especially Slaughter.
Hmm.
It's not a funny comic, but I laughed a lot. So, and the turds and happy made me laugh. Those made me really happy to write about.
I like poop. Poop is fun.
And
So no, I don't think about the audience really. I think about me and Keen Spot prints it after Rodgers draws it. So
And Rodgers, when you're drawing it, and can you kind of answer that question as well, but from your perspective?
Well, for me, the okay, sorry. The two properties are so different, and we both take a like completely different approach to them. Like even the scripting process is totally different. So like for me, Slaughter Otter is more fun to draw because I just get a page synopsis for that. Here's what needs to happen on page 4. So then I get to build page 4 however I want to. So like going into it, I would say that that book is more fun to like for the act of drawing.
But it's not
But
telling you what to draw.
right.
Yeah.
But
I,
every
I
book that I ever draw, I reach a halfway point where I
Mm.
hate that book and I never want to do it again. And I think
All
that's
right.
like an artist thing because I've
Yeah.
noticed the more I'm in the community of the comic book artist, we all hate our work. Like I've noticed that you can't be a perfectionist and you can pretty much give like 90% because eventually you have to like time to go, time to move on. And that's why like Slaughter Otter, one of the like tent poles for us making that book is we were looking at early 90s comic books and how dumbed down all of them are. So you can get a page done really fast because they only put a background on one panel and the rest of the time it's just whatever, you know? So I was like, oh, cool. I don't have to
Splash
worry
pages.
about anything. And it's funny because it started out with like, oh, we'll be able to fly through it. But then it turned out that it was like so good that I had to like try more when I would make it. And so it ended up still taking like a little bit longer than planned, but it was a lot of fun. I it's like a double-edged sword. Like I make the comic books that I want to see, but at the same time I want people to buy them because I want to make money because I'm a sellout and I want money from my work. And but at the
You
same
real big
time,
fish, sell out.
we're not gonna be like, well, Fife, what's famous in comic books right now? Okay, let's do that then. You know what I mean? Because like right now, I think it's pretty obvious, at least in the indie world, that horror horror's making a really big
Oh yeah.
splash. My art style doesn't work for horror comics. Nobody's gonna be like, it's too cartoony to be scary. So I can't really do that. And even if I could, like, I don't really want to make a horror comic.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless you go like a Goosebumps audience type of thing, but yeah, that's
Slaughter Otter's more fun because it's more mature, you know? So like I don't have to like hold back and stuff as much.
and Troy, when it comes to telling your stories with Kid Slapshot, can you kind of answer the same question and kind of what you do for yourself, and if you think ahead for what the viewers would think of your stories and your characters? I mean, we talked about the whole moose farting scene and all that fun stuff. So
So I don't really think about how the market is going to look at them. Um, I just do what I think is fun and hope that somebody else thinks it's fun too. Um,
That's
with some of the stuff, like I'll run it by my youngest kid. And when my oldest was younger, I used to run it by her too, and she would have fun ideas that would make me laugh, and I would throw them into the comic too. But it, um, right now it's that task falls on the youngest, um, to say, it'd be funny, if he weaponized a fart, that would be hilarious. So, and hopefully other people think it's funny too, but I don't really think about like, oh yeah, well the market is for like scantily clad vampire women. I've got a vampire chick. I could scantily clad her and make a comic, but I wouldn't
well,
want to draw that. So,
that's good. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best. The best stories are when you write for yourself. Yeah. What you would like to see.
hmm
Because then that's
Yeah.
when I think you do your best. Because
hmm
you're really into it. It's a lot
yeah,
harder to write something that you're not into.
yeah, and I hope that the audience really doesn't want to see like realistic perspective because I never want to draw that. I never want to grab a ruler ever.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I kind of had a similar approach here where there's certain things where, yeah, maybe Rice Christopher's head is a little taller in one panel here, the glass is a little different here, but I really didn't spend too much time caring about that and just kind of kept telling a fun story. And it feels good hearing that too about your guys' attention to your own book and you're doing it for yourself in that sense because that's what I did 100% through this, but it wasn't until I finished it when I'm like, oh wait, I got X amount of copies now that are sitting right under the side of me here that I have to convince people to buy and like, and hopefully they won't come back and at the next convention being like, yeah, this is really bad. Can I just get my money back? So
so one of the guys with oh shoot, what is the name of the uh publisher? Antarctic Press. I was
Yeah.
tabling next to one of the guys with Antarctic Press, and they have American style manga comics, and um, so and I don't know what style you call it, just goofy kids comics or whatever,
Mhm.
and there was just a huge glut of people that passed by, and I saw a kid in this glut of people. I'm like, hey kid, you like dumb comics? And it cracked him up. He's like, man, that is the best get somebody over to your table, method I've ever seen. Hey kid, you like dumb comics? And the kid came over and his mom wasn't interested, so I gave him one for free. So I ended up hurting myself, financially with that sales pitch. But,
Mhm.
you know, I think that's a good way to sell it. Hey kid, you like dumb comics? Come on
Yeah.
over. You
yeah,
want something silly?
that's what I'm thinking too. With the name of Rice Christopher, the design of a crispy rice man in a suit also includes a polar bear. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I figured, hopefully this will be an attention grabber, and the price is a pretty attractive price for the convention, which I'll advertise soon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so I won't find out till that happens. I know there'll be some support, whether it's through friends and family, and people that follow Cartoonist by Night and people from the Oh Yeah Comics Skokie community and stuff like that. I know that I could count on them and be excited and check it out. But it'll be interesting to see what we do with this once it is out there to the masses to just to walk past and see this poster at my table and wait for a 4-year-old kid to be like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also kind of looks like a movie star a little bit.
There we go. So I will tell you this that I did have a reference model for if I had action poses in here and certain things and no looking at where like the tie was flowing and in motion. Daniel Craig's James Bond is
Oh,
specifically the reference I would use. And so right down to the suit choice for the color and everything. So
oh, very good.
I think it looks fun. I enjoyed reading it. It looks fun. It's the
Mhm.
kind of thing like I had mentioned. I'm a fan of dumb comics, and I hope that doesn't offend you when I associate that with something silly or dumb, but
Right.
I love that kind of stuff. That's just something that would definitely
yeah,
bring me over to a table.
your reaction, you kind of summarized it for the group after you sent me some thoughts, and you just said it's one heck of a first comic, and
Oh yeah.
that's one of those things that will stick with me. I know, just because I'm like, I think that's high praise because I learned a lot by reading a lot of comics over the years, reading all your guys' comics
Mhm.
and watching our Baltazar make comics, and just see everybody do what they do best, and it was fun to get to a point where I could try to do something myself, and that's right here. So,
Yeah.
uh,
It's a huge accomplishment, man.
thank
It
you.
really is.
Yeah, I'm very
Um,
Yeah,
excited. Like,
it's good.
this will lead into the last portion. Um, let's see here. So everybody's asking, when can I get this, and where do I get this? Um, so at the time of this recording, we're about a month and a half away until Milwaukee MightyCon. and I'm going to queue up this little promo I already made probably about a month ago. And so Saturday, September 14th, 2024, at Wisconsin State Fair Park, West Allis, Wisconsin. Go to mightyconshows.com for tickets and information. I think you get a discount if you get online tickets there. And this is advertising the fact that I have my first ever comic book, fun for all ages, adventure comedy activities. I have a maze in here. I have some coloring pages. I have some comic strips. So there's a bunch of fun stuff. The fake ads, which have already been proved to be a hit. So I had shown some of the stuff to another friend and got complimented on how many quips there are. I just tried to put as many jokes in every kind of panel and page as possible and just try to be as funny as I can. And so coming up on September 14th, which I know the Mats are going to be somewhere too in their part of the world on September 14th. So if you're a Cartoonist by Night fan and you're stuck in the middle between our locations, you got a tough decision to make. But this comic will be available after the fact, but this will be the official debut because at the specific Milwaukee MightyCon will be the 1 year anniversary that I have been selling art, something that I never expected to do. It only started when Art Baltazar, mentioned about the Gucci Nana being a pinup, and then Joe Crone over at Oh Yeah, suggesting to make a print of it. And then David Gloyd coming in and suggesting I take a part of his Crimson Cowl Media table space to advertise the club, and then I could sell my one print there. I'm like, well, maybe I'll make some more prints, and then starting a drawing show with you guys, and just kind of constantly be seeing the process and working and drawing. So none of that stuff was part of any goal, and September at this specific location is the 1 year anniversary. So I figured, as crazy it was when I had people buying my prints for the first time, strangers, I asked for their picture and they held it up and everything. Some of them being, repeat customers down the line, and um, seeing that and just being like, wow, I never expected to do that. Here I am selling art. But then 1 year later, I never even expected I would return with my own comic book. So that was yet another random thing that I didn't really plan for. So I decided, even though I had the book done way ahead of schedule and I could easily just, have it out already, but I'm promoting it here with Cartoonist by Night, Crimson Cowl Comic Club, and my social media to start rolling this out for the 1 month countdown. If you're friends and family that cannot make it out to the convention, you're local to me, there will be some pre-order information that will be accessible to them. And if you're fall into any other categories and you're not local and can't make it out, and you're a fan of the show that we do and things like that, all of that information will be available the week after this convention. I get home, I see my copies, and maybe I'll have to reorder some, cross the fingers. But anybody who wants a copy, there will definitely be copies if I, somehow perform a miracle and I sell out of the aggressive number that I ordered. I'm not going to hold back from ordering more for anybody that wants them. So all of that information will be available if you just keep following this show and my social media. And eventually it'll be launching my, how do you say it, coffee shop?
Coffee.
Coffee.
So it's like buy me a coffee or whatever.
So I started a shop at the beginning of the year, but it's been non-published because I was putting some of my original art on there, and then I just got too busy doing this thing here, so I never ended up doing anything more. But I will have the book available through there. So as long as you're watching this and listening to it and follow social media, all you have to do is send me a message, and if you don't find the shop and whatever, we'll figure out a way to get that out to you. And so that is the promotion there. The other thing I have to do, also at the convention, not only will I be having this comic book, I'll have a lot of copies on hand. So I would assume I have more than enough for anybody who wants to take a gamble on this. Each comic book is going to come with some coloring sheets as well. There's
Ooh.
two characters. One character that I mentioned earlier, the name is on the sheet, so I'm just going to show this one right now. I'm just preserving that reveal for friends and family who know the character I base that name off of. So I got these coloring sheets here, and I thought it was a fun thing to, they can write their name on it, and then I can just put their favorite food. So anybody who colors this, I thought that would be a fun thing where they just write their favorite food on there, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some results. And if kids get into this, and there's information on the bottom to reach out to latchkeykid at gmail.com, and with my last name and the playing on the word of latchkey kid. And I figured if anybody wanted more sheets and things like that, and or if they found this issue in a dollar bin somewhere at a fan expo down the line and it doesn't have a coloring sheet with it anymore, they can always reach out to me. That information's in the book as well. So yeah, coloring sheets. I'm gonna put that over here. I'm going to have some character prints available. These are 6x9 character prints. So I've got this Rice Christopher one here of him kind of fixing his cuffs there. Once again, just keep in mind that I used James Bond as some references there. Um, this character might be one of my breakout things that I think I might do before I do another Rice Christopher story in general. I'm calling this character, this version, Kid Christopher. You'll see this character represented in a comic strip in the towards the back of the book. But it is something that I have some ideas to kind of do some young adventures of Rice Christopher, if you will. So this character is different from the grandkids there. But once you check out the book, you'll see this character here. But I have a lot of fun things I want to do with this person, so I think we'll see more of them. I'm going to have some stickers available. So Lavi, who is a past guest on this very show, Lavi HQ, she produced the stickers that I sent over to her. So I'm going to have 4 different stickers available. Some are the same designs you just saw in the print. Some are designs that aren't in print form. So there's a couple different varieties. And then what I'm going to offer for the convention exclusive for people that go out to the show and support the debut of the comic in person, there's going to be a treat combo pack in which you can get the comic, choice of 2 prints, choice of 2 stickers for a reduced savings price. And that is the only way you unlock this binder that I'll show them, in which you get to choose one of your favorite. I'm going to draw as many as I can. I'm going to aim for at least 30 of them. But I've been drawing some original Rice Christopher sketch cards. And so these are only going to be available if you go all in with the treat combo pack and get a bunch of the merchandise at a discounted price. Hopefully this will be a little incentive, be like, oh, I'll give you X amount of dollars and get one of these things too. So I've done a couple of these. I did some DC and Marvel ones recently. I like how the Wonder Woman one turned out there. It was that was pretty good there. So I have these. I'm going to keep drawing these throughout the month of August. And so, yeah, that is basically the setup for what I am going to be presenting at the Milwaukee Mighty Con, September 14th.
Awesome.
Right. Yes.
Very cool, man.
Take a swig
Very
here.
cool.
Bro.
Thank you.
I hope you end up doing a second issue and you get a Kevin Wolf pinup in the back of it. Because when I look at Rice Christopher, that's kind of what I think of is like the fan art. And when awesome fan art comes to my mind, I always think of Kevin Wolf.
That's a good direction to go, and I'd be grateful to see Rice Christopher on a surfboard. So
that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Fun little things to kind of looking at the time here. We're aiming for roughly an hour episode. This book has many of things. It has a lot of my own personal jokes kind of thrown in there that hopefully are still humorous to other people. There's little nods to Kid Slapshot and Happy Astronaut in there. There's a nod to Harold and the Hot Wing of Justice in there. So like anybody who kind of contributed with the art journey and kind of people that I've talked to behind the scenes, whether on the show or off the show. There's some stuff for Crimson and David Gloyd in there. There's a couple other things, some other like surprise cameos and such. But there's a lot of things that I like, if this was the only one I'm doing, and if I hated it after doing the first one, then hey, I'll just put a lot of stuff in there and kind of get it done. But I can guarantee you I am going to be working on more, so I'll just have to come up with new stuff, like more fake ads, so that Troy's son will buy a copy of it. So, or I'll have to do Rice Christopher, oops, all ads, and that'll just be an
Ooh.
all ad edition. So, so
Heck
yeah,
that's awesome.
looking around, I think that's everything that I have sitting here. I don't think I had anything else to add other than just a general thank you to everybody that is here to kind of help fuel the creativity, the writing and the drawing and all that fun stuff. Everybody who checks out Cartoonist by Night and comments and gets excited about a new episode dropping and is quick to watch it. And there's several people that go through and just be like, yeah, they watch and comment like immediately, and they watch it because they comment on specific things. One of them being D-Brad's mother-in-law, Beverly. So
Hi,
That's right.
Beverly.
Hi, Beverly.
Hi, Beverly.
and then bevcam.org. We got to mention bevcam.org.
Hi, Massachusetts.
But yeah, it's something that started as a random name that I wrote down while I was just just in my own head at work, and I wrote down this name and I put it in a note file maybe like a half a decade ago. And then last year just looked at the name and I'm just like, oh, I think I know what this character looks like now, and just randomly drew it, and didn't do any other test versions other than what we've seen. I didn't try to do any sort of crazy different design. I was just like, oh, this is what I thought of. This is what he is. And now there's a full-on comic book story that involves him. So 16 pages of one ongoing story that is, full circle, one of one story, and some activity pages. Very affordable for this first round attempt here. And I'm excited to have it out in the world. And at the
Yeah, absolutely.
the last little thing I'll do is throw out a trailer. We'll get that. Future Anthony will take care of that. We're going to cut to a trailer that we are 100% going to watch right now. Let's check it out. In a world with so many stories, from movies to television, and of course, comic books, comes a story that's only available in one of the three mediums I listed earlier. What you are about to see in this trailer is a character debut like you've never seen before. And now, we're just buying dramatic time by repeating the same shots that you just got done watching. We are truly very sorry about that. And now, introducing Rice Christopher. And there it is. That was a trailer we 100% just watched.
Perfect. Love it. I just
Oh
love
man, I liked the part where you did that thing.
Yeah.
Right, right. The thing with the stuff at the place. Yeah.
Oh
Me
man,
too.
With Rice Christopher.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. The one, yeah, where you saw the character and doing
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
Sundance bound, buddy. Sundance.
Yeah.
Yep, just waiting for people to pick up the rights, and I'll have Will Wheaton voice Rice Christopher. Oh wait,
Will Wheaton.
Will.
I like the part with all the murder.
yeah. I'll future Anthony will do some special editing there, Rogers. So, or you're just doing the editing for us. Oh, I was gonna say, what happened? So it'll be a couple weeks until this book is available, but this is basically a 1 hour trailer for the comic book as well. But thank you everybody for checking out, for any of the interest and the people I've shared the stuff with and have given good compliments and showing the excitement for this book coming out. And can't wait to just have it out there and then start working on the next one. So
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks
Good
for
job,
sharing it.
Anthony.
thank you.
Very
Thank
awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yep.
you very much. And so not only is this book coming out, but it'll be a couple weeks until Slaughter Otter comes out. So let's do a little promotion since Rice Christopher and Slaughter Otter are sort of co-workers from Happy Astronaut #2 in a way. So yeah, that book's coming out shortly, end of August.
August 28th.
August 28th.
There we go. Up, D Brad jumped into the ocean there, so he's gone.
Good riddance.
Man, what I said earlier in the show just came to fruition. Wait, he's back.
Ah.
Okay.
I think he got eaten by one of those orca fish.
Oh,
Oh no, I hear they're up there in Canada all over the place eating people, killing stuff.
yeah, that's
No,
right.
don't they have what's that thing that the Alpha Flight and like Wolverine fight that the Wendigo? Isn't the Wendigo?
Wendigo,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there is a carving of Sasquatch here.
Oh,
That's cool.
Yeah, life
Sasquatch
size.
is American.
No, Sasquatch Canadian.
No.
He travels.
He travels.
You're thinking Saskatoon.
Yeah, Saskatoon watch.
that's right.
Yeah. Saskatchewan.
Hey, let's see that comic book in a year, Brad. Let's get it.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You saw it born right here.
Canadian Sasquatch would actually be pretty great.
Saskatchewan's.
From the prairies of Canada comes Saskatchewan.
That is excellent. Well, that is going to do it. We're going to end.
These coal burning buildings. Sorry,
The voices in your head are coming out.
my apologies.
That's all
I've
right.
been working a lot lately.
Are,
That
are
is
we
gonna
allowed to
do it.
vote members out?
Say again.
Are we allowed to vote members out?
That's how we got Fife out for a while.
Yeah.
But I am so happy to have you back, especially for this episode.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned everybody with this, but a big credit actually goes to Matt Fife for recruiting me for drawing an Oh Yeah story and reaching out. And I should have said that earlier. I know I've talked about it to you many a times, but
Yeah, plenty
That
of
is-
times.
that is part of the journey too of getting asked by you randomly and just being you saw the Gucci Nana pinup and you're like, hey, dude, this is awesome. You want to make comics? And I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm just like, hey, I'm flattered, but I don't really do that kind of thing. But thanks anyways, assuming he was gonna just come up with a character about this, happy astronaut on the moon or something like that and going on space adventures with his robot friend. I'm like, I don't want to create worlds. I don't, that sounds like a lot of work that a much more talented person is going to have to take on that job. But then he's like, oh no, Art was, wanted some, stories for Oh Yeah Comics. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a whole different story. And so I went from saying I don't do that kind of stuff to drawing a 3-pager with you. And then that definitely, got the ball rolling.
It's probably the only time in my life where I've been told no and pushed back a little bit and got positive results. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I was very upfront of just saying you're expecting something, and I know that I can't deliver whatever the heck that was until you mentioned Oh Yeah Comics, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, well, these characters are all designed and have a world that I'm very familiar with, and so yeah, but That was a big part of the journey as well, but you guys have all been thanked for that. That is going to do it for this episode. This will be the official final closing. We end every episode like we do every single episode by saying it's time for lunchtime.
Ooh, lunchtime.
Is that really what we do? Okay. It's
It's
time for
supper time for
lunch.
me.
Troy's like, I could eat.
I could eat. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, got it. Can't get the thing closed.
Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was crossing my eyes.